Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is optibotimus coming with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new ThreeZero 1/6 scale Michelangelo from the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. As you can see for the package, again, really large box here. I mean, the packaging on these guys are really quite substantial. Even though Michelangelo here is actually the smallest of the figures, the package does remain the same in terms of its overall size. But as you see, you come down here, you got Michelangelo. Obviously, his name written right up there, and he's wielding his very dangerous nunchuck weapon. You come around here to the side, and you got that same kind of text going on there. If you come back up to the top, I guess I should kind of do that as I'm already up to the top. You can see that you got an orange kind of display here with his nunchucks right there. So again, like I talked about before, all of them do have their individual sort of color look as well as their weapons. The opposite side here has that as well. You come around to the back, and it just says Michelangelo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. On the bottom of it here, you have the various warnings, and then obviously Nickelodeon Movies, Platinum Dunes, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Movie.com. But for the package, that is about it for it. On the inside, it's just the standard clamshell. It's nothing really overly spectacular. But it does do a good job of holding the figure, obviously, in the box itself. So, for the packaging on it, that is about it for it. So, without further ado, let's get this guy open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Michelangelo opened up and out of its packaging. And like I talked about initially, Mikey here is the smallest, which is very accurate to how he's always basically been portrayed. Now I'm going to do a size comparison here later on, but just giving you an idea in terms of like a tape measure kind of thing. He stands at just about exactly 12 inches or so in height. So that gives you kind of an idea of how big he is. Now for his accessories, he does come with his two nunchucks. I got one kind of just tucked in his sweater right there. You can see the other one right there, but really nice detail. It actually feels like it's wood, and then you got real metal chains going on here. One thing that I've noticed is that the section right here does get a little bit stiff, so it's kind of difficult to rotate that completely around. So you do have to be careful when you're doing it, but real nice detail on here. You could see some real nice etching on the actual handles themselves. Really great amount of detail, and both of these have that. As you can see, he does have the hands that allow you to hold it fairly decently. They're a little bit more closed of a grip, and then you do get two additional hands with a little bit wider of an opening. And much like all the other turtles, you can see that he's got those nice wraps wrapped around his knuckles. His hand also features these, I don't know, I mean, they are a little bit springy. You could take these off if you wanted to, which is kind of interesting because none of the other ones, I don't think you could take those off, but they're like kind of knucks or something like that, but they're kind of flat, but real great paint detail on there, give it a very metallic look. And again, really nice paint detail and green variations of the actual skin tone. You can see some nice sculpt work for the fingernails, so you have that, and then you do get a both right and left fisted hand. Now these ones you can't really, I mean, it kind of looks like maybe you actually could remove them. I mean, they are on that kind of stretchy string material, but they kind of go through the actual sculpting right here, so you really can't take these ones off, which is fine. I mean, that almost works a little bit better because, you know, if he's punching you, he's going to have something like that on there, so that works, I guess. In terms of smaller accessories, you do have his sunglasses that you have to put around his head. You have his little dog tag sort of thing right there. You do have a little bracelet that's made out of metal on this hand. All of those things that you can actually remove. So if you didn't like having that look with his glasses there, you can take it off. It's perfectly fine. One thing that actually is pretty cool, just getting this out of the way, is this sweater is actually, I guess you could say it's an accessory. That just, honestly, getting that kind of lifted up there, just ties on around his waist, and when you take it off, you can see all of his torso and everything. But real great detail on this as well. You can see very dirty with some like dust and dirt. You got some holes kind of put throughout there, just showing tears and everything. It's got the actual hoodie section. I mean, I guess well, I don't know if you could actually put it on them, but I mean, it does come out really cool looking. And like I said, if you wanted to take it off just to kind of have that look, which I think that looks pretty cool, honestly, you could do that. So putting that back on there, you have to kind of lift it up and then tuck it underneath his actual shell here, because it is a separate piece. So you lift that up just like that, get that underneath there, and then as you would a hoodie or anything, you just bring this around and tie this around just like that. give that a nice little squeeze around his waist, and you have that look again, which, I mean, I think that that is actually pretty cool that you can do that. And you can futz with this to kind of get that up there a little bit more or whatever, but great accessories on this guy, even ones that don't necessarily seem like accessories, like with the sweater and the necklaces and stuff. I mean, actually turns out pretty darn cool. Now, he does come with one fairly large accessory, and that is his little skateboard. Now, unfortunately, on the underside here, there are no pegs or anything, but you can see some real great detail underneath his feet, and there's no pegs or anything that you can put it on there. So really all you're doing is kind of position him on here, but one thing I will caution is that he is a fairly heavy figure. He's not, I mean, overly heavy or anything like that. You know, I mean, that like a die-cast figure or anything of that nature, but you do want to be careful because it doesn't really feel like these can support his weight for any length of time. I mean, you can see that these kind of bend, and I don't want to put too much stress on these, so you do want to be careful. And you can see it's just plastic and everything, but it's a very thin piece right here. So I think that display purpose wise, this is going to look great if you just go like this, you know, take his hand, you know, and maybe do something like that where he's just kind of hanging out there with that, kind of there with them. Now, obviously, you'd probably use a different hand or something because that one you can't really open, you know, maybe a hand like this, you know, so it looks like he's actually holding on to something with it. But great detail on this as well. You can see amazing amount of paint detail. You can see you got some writing on here. I can't even tell what that actually says. Is it upside down? That's kind of crazy. And then what does this say? Riley High? I don't know. They're like stickers or something, but the detail on here is phenomenal. You can see great variation in the paint right here, kind of giving it a scorched sort of look. You come around here to the bottom again, real nice dirt, and then all the different colors and stuff. I mean, you got some copper up there, you got some red right here, all of it's very dirty. You got the wheels that do rotate, but like I said, you do want to be careful because it does have a little bit of flex to it that you don't want to, you know, put too much stress on it or anything like that. So this is his biggest accessory, and it makes sense because he's a smaller figure, so they offset the cost because he still is also $230, much like, you know, the larger turtles are. So giving him something like this, I think, is a great way to kind of, you know, round out that price for him. But for his accessories, that's about it for it. Now, coming to the figure himself, again, tremendous amount of detail actually put into the entire figure itself. The layers and layers of kind of material on here just really does give an absolute overall real sort of look to the figure. Now, you come around here to the back, again, these kind of can flop around, so you do have to futz with them a little bit just to kind of keep them in their proper position. But again, great detail on the back of the shell here. All the turtles have individual looks on both just the actual character and then the shells. I mean, it's amazing how intricate and unique each facet of this figure is. You got some duct tape kind of put right on there, but the paint variation, the scarring, the texturing, everything on this shell really looks amazing. You come around to the front of him, and again, real great look here with the actual head sculpt. I like how he's got a little bit of a smirk going on. That's really very cool, and I love what they did here with the mask, is that sculpted on the actual face part is the orange mask itself, and then on the back section you have this bit that's just basically glued on that kind of gives it, again, that realistic sort of feel that allows you to, you know, manipulate these and kind of put them wherever you want. Again, coming down to the body, you can see that the arms as well as the torso are this softer rubberized plastic. He does have the skeletal structure underneath, which is where all the articulation comes from. And just, again, you know, the paint variation and the color that's kind of thrown in here, giving it a unique look, looks really very cool. One thing that you are seeing is that, again, you got a fairly bright green kind of head here, and then the mouth section does get a little bit off colored. It's not so bad in hand. It's probably coming up a lot more apparent on my camera because of the brightness, but in hand it really doesn't look all that bad. Now, it was something that I noticed in some other pictures and such, but as I said, in person it looks pretty good. I love that he's got blue eyes. Again, you got the nice paint detail on the torso. You look down here, again, that kind of carries through the entire look of the figure. You come down here to the body, and again, you got the very cool and very accurate looking hoodie wrapped around here. And then you come down to his pants, and he's got these little kind of, you know, sports sort of pants. You can see this side is torn off. He's got a little knee pad right down here, and then you got his exposed leg. You have his shoes with an M on here. I don't know if that's supposed to be there, but it says, you know, a lot for the character, and just, again, the detail is really very, very nice. I mean, you can absolutely see that it's like a hodgepodge of different shoes. It's like smaller shoes on here, and then they're stitched together, and you can even see that on this side. So it's like they're little kid shoes stitched onto bigger shoes. I mean, just amazing amount of detail. This section right here, you can see that he's got one full leg. This is a rubbery material as well, so it really doesn't hinder much articulation. And then you can actually see, getting that out of the way, this little cod section right here is a separate piece, so you can still rotate this around. It is a little bit more restricted, but you can still move it around, and you can see that underneath he does have some fabric and everything that kind of ties everything together. Just overall, like, I mean, detail like you wouldn't believe. I'm just so impressed with the look on this. The knee pads here are separate pieces, so you do have to kind of manipulate those to kind of keep them where they're supposed to be and everything, but just overall, stellar looking figure. Now, for a size comparison, this is the third one that we've looked at, so what better way to kind of give you an idea of how Mikey stacks up than bring out the other two figures that we've already looked at. And as you can see, he is the shortest of the bunch. So coming up here, like I said, Raph and Donnie are about the same height. Raph is a little bit shorter than Donnie, but you can see that Mikey here is considerably smaller. So whereas these ones were a little bit over 13 inches, the 12-inch scale here for Mikey really does show that he's the smallest in the family. For Mikey's articulation, it is basically the exact same as all the other ones. The body underneath is a little bit different because it's smaller, but the articulation remains the same. So you got a nice ball joint here with the head. One thing I will say is that as you rotate it around, you can see that this does kind of get exposed here. So you want to make sure that you kind of tuck that under. And you can definitely see that it is designed to give him a bit of a hunchback sort of look. You got that little cut-in section where it is meant to kind of keep just like that. So while you can still articulate it and move it around up and down and all that kind of stuff, you do have to be careful in making sure that that illusion remains the same. You come down here to the shoulders, and again, you can see that the arms as well as the torso are separate pieces, and then the actual torso kind of overlaps here. So you do have a cut right there, but it actually creates a pretty seamless sort of rotation right there, which looks really pretty cool. You can move it forward, back, in and out, all that kind of stuff. Holding that ball joint there, it does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. The rubber kind of does get in the way, but you can rotate it. He's got two joints here at the elbow. Both elbows feature that, so you can kind of get a little bit more than a 90-degree bend. In doing so, though, you do get the kind of folds that do look a little bit unfortunate, but I really do prefer the overall, and you can see that piece fell off. I really do prefer the overall realism that this rubber body gives. I do like it a heck of a lot. The wrists here are on ball joints, so you get a nice range of motion with that. They rotate, they pivot up and down, so you can get some really cool dynamic poses going on here with Mikey's nunchucks. When you are replacing the hand, though, on this side here, do be careful of his little bracelet, because that can fall off because it's not permanently attached or anything. So when you pop the ball joint off to replace the hand, make sure you're careful about that actual bracelet itself. The torso right here is on a ball joint, so you get a nice range of motion there, rotates around. Again, I love how the actual shell is not attached to the lower section of the body, so you can rotate fully and get a nice range of motion with it. The hips are, like I said, a little bit more limited because of the rubber suit, but the cod section here, as well as the rubber piece down here on the actual legs, are separate pieces, so you can get that kind of flexing around a little bit more. You got nice ratchet joints moving in and out. He does rotate at the upper part of the thigh itself. He's got one joint here at the knee, but really heavy ratchet joint, as you can hear. And then the ankles themselves are also on ball joints, so you can get them moving forward, back, in and out, get some nice ankle tilts and things of that nature. So articulation wise, you get a lot of it with this guy, and it does all come together and look really very cool. Mikey is a great looking character. I think they did a terrific job just in terms of, you know, the movie design, and then what ThreeZero was able to replicate here just turned out really very nice. All in all, detail wise, all of these figures exceeded my expectations by a ton. The layers and layers of detail that's put into this, both paint-wise, sculpt-wise, the accessories, outfit, everything just really does look absolutely incredible on these figures. I mean, like I said, they really did exceed my expectations. And I really do feel, price-wise, at $230, all of these figures fit very nicely in that, sort of price range. As I talked about, Mikey is the smallest. So what you lose in overall size, you make up for in the fact that they give you a fairly large extra accessory. I mean, that's really cool. A lot of times, companies wouldn't have even included that and made you pay the same price despite the fact that it's a smaller figure. So I really have to give credit to ThreeZero for thinking of something like that. The overall whole package just is absolutely worth it in my opinion. And I think if you were to get just one of the turtles, Mikey here probably would be the best one to get. I think most people probably have Mikey pegged as their favorite. So I could totally see people just picking up him just by himself. For me though, you gotta have all four of them. So if you're interested in picking these guys up, they are available at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can check out availability on these guys, as well as the rest of their 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been optibotimus. And once again, I want to send a huge thanks out to ThreeZero, specifically Cody, for helping to make this review, as well as all the turtle reviews possible. Don't forget also that if you like this video, to please like and share it. Also be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you never miss a future review of mine. And as always, until next time, I'll talk to you later.